So Joe Biden is, he's really not doing well on the campaign trail, and it's clear to see why his campaign was pushing for a limited exposure strategy, which is basically the acknowledgement that, hey, he has a default lead in the polls, so let's not mess that up but by putting him out there in front of people, and then they hear him speak, and then it goes down. His support goes down. So there was actually a very clever move from his staff to say, you know, they could kind of see the Hillary Clinton trajectory he was on, where with Hillary, the more she spoke, the more she was in public, the more her numbers went down. Biden, it's a very similar thing. So they're kind of planning for that, and they're kind of hiding him. And here's a compilation of, honestly, what might be like serious cognitive issues and really cringeworthy moments that, you know, Biden's experiencing here. So I don't really know exactly how to break this down and talk about it, because I don't support him as a candidate, so I want to go after him and make the case that, hey man, this is not, don't go in this direction. But then I also genuinely kind of feel bad because I think there actually might be something wrong with him, or at least it's like the beginning of something being wrong with him. So let me play you this clip. I honestly, I take no pleasure in playing this clip for you. If I were to play this and just mock him, I think that'd be actually tasteless. But I think it's important that people see this, because this is the guy that still has the lead in the polls, and it shouldn't be.
You walk behind me in a debate. Come here, man. Rich Fitzgerald, the county executive, Allegheny County executive, being here, and we don't always live up to that's who we are. Go to Joe 30330 and help me in this fight. We can speak out and be more straightforward. Senator Joe, I mean, but I mean, it's not about, I know you're supporting by saying booing, but look, here's the deal. Union workers, the UAW took incredible cuts in their future. You don't have here in Miami, in Florida. You don't have it here, and that is, if you keep an audience, all these breakthroughs we have with the whole, dealing with the whole, help people who have or in fact are likely to get Alzheimer's by Wall Street bankers, CEOs, and hedge fund managers. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. I found that the secretary, we sat together in many meetings. My wife is a full-time teacher, taught all during when we were vice president. But President Trump and the demagogues around the world, how can a person dignity be maintained? And she never yields. She does not break. She stands up. The bills that the future president here, that the senator is talking about. We choose truth over facts. I keep my recommendations to him in private. Unlike you, I expect you would go ahead and say whatever was said privately with him. That's why I'll end the gag rule, the global gag rule that prevents money from getting to NGOs. $600 billion worth of loopholes in the law. Why they do that? I looked at it anyway. That's what I think my plan. I know what my plan does. By strengthening. To conquer devastating diseases like cancer and addiction and Alzheimer's. In terms of the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacy, the way we've always been. Look, you walk behind me in a debate. Come here, man.
Biden's first event of the afternoon was at a smaller venue, but there was still room in the back. So I had a chance to ask him what he thinks when he sees a more progressive primary candidate like Elizabeth Warren on TV with a crowd in the thousands.
No. It depends on what the nature of the event is. What I'm trying to do is go around from town to town, and I'm drawing as bigger crowds or bigger than anybody. Have you seen anybody draw bigger crowds than me here in this state?
Yes.
Oh, you have? Where?
In Des Moines.
In Des Moines? Just like in my generation, when I got out of school, that when Bobby Kennedy and Dr. King had been assassinated in the 70s, late 70s. I watched what happened when the kids from Parkland marched up to, and I met with them, and then they went off up on the hill when I was vice president. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. We choose truth over facts.
Yeah. Listen, if that was just like let's say, 3 or 4 examples throughout his whole time on the campaign trail where it was just a brain fart, I don't think we would be talking about this, because it's not, you guys know me, all I care about is policy. That's my main focus. The only time I feel compelled to bring up issues like this is when it's so over the top and so in your face and so serious that it really is noteworthy and newsworthy. And here we are. Obama had said to Biden before he ran, Joe, you don't have to do this, man. It could just be because he didn't want, his friend to go through a campaign, or it could be because he thought, man, there is a little bit of cognitive decline there. I don't know. That's pure speculation. But what I do know is, and I've told this story before, my mom, who's relatively apolitical, watched some of the Democratic debate, and she called me the next day and said, listen, Joe Biden could barely get a sentence out. So, and again, this is not somebody who is biased against Biden. She actually voted for Obama and Biden. So it wasn't, she's nothing against him. She was just like, he can barely get a sentence out, and it seems like something's wrong with him. So you saw a mix there of him really struggling to get his words out, but then also mixed in with things that are just really eye-opening, like when he said, the Parkland students came up to me when I was vice president. He wasn't vice president anymore when that happened. Or when he said, Martin Luther King and RFK were assassinated in the late 1970s. It's happening like every single day. It's happening. He kept calling, we didn't have video of this one, but he kept calling Theresa May Margaret Thatcher. Which, and again, if that happens once, okay, maybe it's fine, but it happened multiple times, which leads you to believe that there's like some weird thing going on in his brain where he's just like losing track of time and defaulting back to like the 1980s. It's just very bizarre. Now, I need everybody to understand, this guy is still leading in the polls. And that's real. We're not poll truthers here. I mean, I have my theories as to why he is leading. I think a lot of that support is what I call default support, which is people who are relatively apolitical and they don't follow this stuff closely and they just think, I know Biden, sure, him, why not? And I also think it's a generational divide. This is borne out by the numbers that it's older Democrats who support Biden over the other candidates because they are more conservative Democrats than the younger generation. But make no mistake about it, the lead is a lead. He's been dropping since he announced, but he still has a lead. So it's just hard to wrap your mind around the fact that we're dealing with a Republican president who may have cognitive issues with Donald Trump, because I've seen compilations of him where it's like, whoa, babbling nonsense, incoherent garbage. But then what are we going to do? We're going to put up another candidate here who's got obvious cognitive decline. And again, I want to be crystal clear. This has nothing to do with his age. It's about the cognitive decline. Whereas you look at somebody like Bernie Sanders, who's a little older than Biden, and that dude is sharp as a tack. And that I'm not just saying that because I like him. I'm saying it because if I know for sure if Bernie had 1/10 the gaffes that Biden had, oh my God, the media would have already declared his campaign over, been begging him to drop out. But instead, they are not calling on Joe Biden to drop out. Joe Biden still has a lead in the polls. And we're acting like it's not that bad. I've honestly seen articles that try to downplay all this and try to act like, whatever. No, this makes him more likable. This makes him more likable when he, says something that's insanely off base every single day that's really questionable in terms of his cognitive health. So it's wild to see, but, this is an important thing that I think everybody should see, that it's not just a couple examples, it's not just a few things here and there. This is definitely a trend. So now you have that information, and what you do with it is up to you.